Right now, the catastrophic firepower of a $13.2 billion nuclear fortress rests entirely on the crushing isolated command of just one human being, a Navy captain. How does a single mind survive the suffocating psychological weight of managing exactly 5,180 lives and the constant unforgiving trigger of global war? Let's breach the locked steel hatch and enter the ultimate mental war room of a United States Navy Supercarrier Captain. Right at this exact moment, a 100,000-ton titan of sovereign American territory is tearing through the unforgiving Philippine Sea at 33 knots, generating an incredible 600 megawatts of raw thermal energy. The CVN 78 USS Gerald R. Ford packs 75 lethal strike aircraft and $13 billion in highly classified hardware. Yet the absolute operational authority over this catastrophic arsenal and 5,200 human lives rests squarely on one singular, isolated operator, the commanding officer, a battle-hardened 06 Navy captain. Forget the civilian corporate CEO comparisons. A corporate executive makes a terrible financial call and stock prices drop if an 06 carrier captain miscalculates an EMALS electromagnetic launch parameter by a fraction of a single second. Elite naval aviators die instantly in a horrific fireball. How does a human mind successfully process this unrelenting, crushing psychological weight? They do not do it from a sprawling, comfortable luxury suite. They survive daily in a modified tactical closet. When the heavy mooring lines drop, the captain permanently abandoned the ceremonial import cabin located on the O2 level deck. They ascend directly into the towering island superstructure to the heavily restricted sea cabin. It measures roughly 100 cramped square feet. It contains a rigid steel rack, a secure Cybernet intelligence terminal, a basic toilet, and zero comfort. It is deliberately austere, brutally cold, and relentlessly noisy. Why? Because it is positioned exactly 15 steps from the primary navigation bridge. When the ship is locked at Condition 3, wartime readiness split seconds dictate absolute survival. If the advanced dual-band AN/SPY-4 radar detects an inbound hypersonic YJ-12 anti-ship cruise missile flying at Mach 3, the captain must assume command of the bridge instantly. They sleep fully clothed, boots tightly laced, ready to execute lethal kinetic countermeasures within 10 seconds. Consider the absolute terrifying climax of naval aviation. Nighttime case, 3 carrier recoveries. It is pitch black. The flight deck is pitching 4 degrees in violent high swells. Blinding freezing rain aggressively hammers the Vulture's row observation deck. An F-35C. Lightning 2, critically low on volatile. JP-5 fuel is slamming onto the brutal non-skid deck at 150 miles per hour, hunting desperately for the elusive 3-wire. The captain stands rigid on the bridge, staring into the black abyss, meticulously monitoring the advanced arresting gear, telemetry. The air boss explicitly controls the deck traffic, but the captain owns the absolute risk. If that steel arresting wire violently snaps under 60,000 pounds of brutal mechanical tension, the resulting supersonic shrapnel will instantly sever limbs. If the supersonic jet bolters and catastrophically loses engine thrust, it plunges directly into the freezing ocean. The captain owns all of it, every single drop of blood, every broken multi-million-dollar airframe, total inescapable operational accountability. Could you realistically shoulder the lives of 5,200 sailors while running on 3 hours of fractured, anxiety-ridden sleep? That is the iron will of American naval doctrine. If you deeply respect that unmatched grit, hit the subscribe button right now. Less than 2% of you watching are actively subscribed. Hitting like and subscribe costs you absolutely nothing, but it directly arms our algorithm to decode more classified realities of elite military operations. Join the briefing right now. We know the captain eagerly trades comfort for maximum tactical proximity, but where does the raw mental endurance come from to sustain a punishing, highly volatile 9-month combat deployment? How does an 06 successfully process 400 pages of highly classified intelligence, monitor critical A-1B nuclear reactor parameters, and definitively approve lethal precision strike packages before 0600 hours? The heavy steel blast doors are locking tight. The real combat briefing starts now. 0400 hours. The supercarrier never truly sleeps. It merely changes its mechanical tempo. For the 06, the daily cycle detonates without a gentle alarm. Stepping directly into the chilling blue-lit confines of the Combat Direction Center, the captain faces the Joint Intelligence Center brief. This is not a summary. It is a 400-page, highly classified cybernet data dump. The captain must immediately memorize the exact acoustic signatures of Russian Project 885. Yasen M submarines, armed with Mach 2.9 caliber cruise missiles, currently lurking a mere 450 nautical miles off the port bow. They must rapidly process Chinese Type 055 stealth destroyer formations operating within lethal striking range, analyzing their Type 3, 4, 6, B active electronically scanned array radar emissions, every satellite orbital window, every hostile electromagnetic footprint, every geopolitical fracture in the Indo-Pacific theater is absorbed in absolute silence. Can you accurately process the specific coordinates of global thermonuclear threats before your first cup of morning coffee? By 500 hours, the operational focus aggressively shifts 11 decks down into the armored hull. The reactor officer delivers the absolute mechanical pulse of the warship. The twin A-1B pressurized water reactors are generating a staggering 600 megawatts of thermal energy. The captain demands precise, unforgiving metrics. Are the primary coolant loops holding exactly at 2,000 pounds per square inch? Are the 430-ton bronze propellers maintaining a nominal 160 revolutions per minute to push 100,000 tons of sovereign American steel through heavy 20-foot ocean swells? But immense nuclear power means absolutely nothing without immense logistical sustenance. At 600 hours, the supply officer reports grueling daily burn rates. The embarked carrier air wing is violently devouring its 3.3 million gallon reserve of highly volatile JP5 aviation fuel. The 5,200 souls on board demand exactly 15,500 meticulously calculated meals, consuming 1,200 loaves of bread, 3,000 pounds of frozen ground beef, and 800 gallons of milk every single day. The captain must audit this staggering, floating industrial city with a surgical, unforgiving precision. Then the unforgiving reality of the violent sea strikes without warning. At 0935 hours, a piercing mechanical shrill violently tears through the 1MC public address system. Fire, fire, fire. Class Bravo fire in main machinery. Room number 2, all hands. Man your battle stations. A high-pressure, 600 PS aviation fuel line has violently ruptured. Atomized JP5 instantly ignites against a 600-degree high-pressure steam pipe. Within 30 seconds, the enclosed compartment temperatures aggressively spike past 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. Toxic, thick black smoke rapidly chokes the maze of lower decks. The captain sprints directly to the primary bridge. The damage control assistant screams rapid chaotic casualty reports over the static-filled sound-powered telephone network. The automated, aqueous film-forming foam suppression systems have catastrophically failed. The raging inferno is aggressively hunting the adjacent weapon magazines, safely containing 2 million pounds of high-explosive JDA-NEM ordnance. The captain faces a catastrophic, mathematically brutal operational choice. They must instantly issue the hardest command in naval doctrine. They order the heavy armored, watertight steel doors permanently sealed. This decisive action instantly starves the raging inferno of oxygen, absolutely saving the $13 billion warship and 5,180 innocent lives. But it deliberately traps a heroic 6-man damage control team inside the superheated steel tomb. The heavy doors slam shut. The fire violently suffocates. The massive ship survives. But the captain must carry the agonizing, silent psychological scars of mathematically trading human blood for the ultimate survival of the vessel directly to their grave. Could you look a mother in the eye, knowing your explicit calculated order permanently sealed her young son's fate? There's absolutely zero time for emotional decompression. The fire is extinguished, but the immense war machine marches relentlessly forward. By 1300 hours, the 06 violently transitions into the grueling administrative grinder. They are aggressively reviewing highly classified rules of engagement modifications relayed directly from the Pentagon via encrypted UHF satellite links. They execute Article 15 non-judicial punishments, instantly stripping rank from insubordinate sailors to fiercely enforce ironclad military discipline. They systematically sign critical performance evaluations that directly dictate the future career trajectories of hundreds of elite junior naval officers. The suffocating avalanche of legal paperwork is endless. It is a relentless administrative war fought continuously, even while twin-engine F/A 18E Super Hornets are violently screaming off the reinforced flight deck just 3 feet directly above their tired head. They orchestrate billions in lethal firepower and shoulder the heaviest moral burdens imaginable while operating precisely at the absolute razor edge of extreme human psychological endurance. But what is the tangible monetary value the United States government places on this immense personal sacrifice? Prepare to fully uncover the shocking financial truth. Let's break down the exact financial compensation of a United States Navy. 06 Captain commanding a supercarrier. You might assume a staggering multi-million-dollar salary. The actual reality is brutally humbling. An 06 with over 24 years of active duty service earns a basic monthly pay of exactly $14,342. That equals a base annual salary of roughly $172,000. We add the basic allowance for housing, BAH, which fluctuates based on home port zip codes like Norfolk or San Diego, adding approximately $3,500 per month. Basic allowance for subsistence. BAS provides a meager $316 monthly. If they operate inside a designated hostile fire zone, they receive an additional $225 in imminent danger pay. Total maximum annual compensation peaks right around $215,000. Consider that hard financial reality. A civilian Fortune 500 CEO commanding a mid-sized logistics corporation easily commands $10 million annually in base salary and lucrative stock options. If the CEO fails, quarterly profit margins dip slightly. If the carrier captain fails, a $13 billion sovereign asset sinks permanently to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Exactly 5,200 American flags are carefully draped over uniform wooden coffins. Does $215,000 sound like adequate financial compensation for carrying the crushing psychological weight of potential global thermonuclear war? They do not accept this brutal burden for the paycheck. They accept it because they are the ultimate survivors of the most unforgiving career pipeline in modern military history. You cannot simply apply for this coveted command. You must physically bleed for it. Title 10 of the United States Code strictly mandates that an aircraft carrier commanding officer must be an unrestricted line officer definitively designated as a naval aviator. They must intimately understand the violent geometry of the active flight deck. They spent 2 decades strapped tightly inside the cramped cockpit of F/A 18E Super Hornets. They survived hundreds of terrifying arrested carrier landings. To truly understand their ironclad authority, you must deeply understand their personal crucible. Picture the captain 20 years ago as a junior lieutenant. It is 0-200 hours. A violent squall violently batters the USS Nimitz. The young pilot is flying an FA-18C Hornet on a critical fuel state. They have exactly one single pass left before dual-engine flameout. The heavy flight deck violently pitches up 30 feet. The visual meatball optical landing system drops rapidly into the red zone. They aggressively jam the twin throttles directly to maximum military power. The 40,000-pound strike aircraft violently slams onto the brutal non-skid deck at 160 miles per hour. The heavy steel tailhook desperately catches the crucial number 3 arresting wire. The pilot experiences a brutal deceleration force of 4.5 Gs, coming to a dead stop in precisely 320 feet. That is the raw, violent DNA of a supercarrier captain. They survived the absolute darkest nights of intense naval aviation. Do you possess the raw physical courage to deliberately crash a supersonic fighter jet onto a violently moving steel runway in the pitch-black ocean? But surviving the violently unpredictable sky is only phase 1. The United States Navy rigidly demands total, absolute mastery of advanced nuclear engineering. The elite aviator is abruptly pulled from the cockpit and forced directly into the grueling Naval Nuclear Power Training Command. They endure 18 months of punishing classified curriculum covering advanced thermodynamics, reactor physics, and complex radiological controls. They must prove absolute operational competency in safely managing highly enriched uranium. Following this brutal academic grinder, they must successfully command a deep draft vessel, typically an amphibious transport dock, proving they can flawlessly maneuver massive ocean tonnage. The sheer leadership attrition rate is mathematically and brutally staggering. The United States Navy actively employs over 340,000 sworn personnel. There are roughly 3,100 captains currently holding the heavy 06 rank. Yet the United States operates exactly 11 operational supercarriers. There are only 11 available center seats. It is statistically harder to become a United States Navy carrier captain than it is to be drafted into the National Football League. One single adverse fitness report, one minor navigational collision, or one failed command climate survey instantly permanently terminates their career trajectory. They must achieve and strictly maintain absolute flawless operational perfection for 3 straight decades. They patiently endure the grueling selection boards, the microscopic professional scrutiny, and the crushing physical tolls to finally grasp the ultimate operational helm. But once they permanently sit in that highly coveted center seat, the true, unending psychological terror actually begins. How does the fragile human soul successfully survive the absolute suffocating isolation of supreme unchecked naval operational command? They survive the crushing absolute isolation through a profound, almost spiritual connection to the 5,200 breathing souls operating inside the steel hull. An 06, Carrier Captain cannot simply govern by encrypted email from the Combat Direction Center. True naval leadership requires descending directly into the claustrophobic, deafening heart of the beast. At 2,300 hours long after the Pentagon bureaucracy finally sleeps, the captain silently leaves the restricted sea cabin. They execute a deliberate, unannounced deck plate tour. They bypass the polished officer wardrooms and climb down into the sweltering, grease-stained domain of the Aviation Intermediate Maintenance Department. They lock eyes with a 19-year-old aviation machinist's mate covered in toxic hydraulic fluid, exhaustedly turning a heavy steel wrench on a shattered F414-G E-400 turbofan engine. The captain does not demand a formal salute. They ask specifically about the sailor's newborn daughter back in Norfolk, a fragile child the young sailor has never physically held. In that fleeting, mathematically unquantifiable moment, the supreme commander of a $13 billion sovereign strike group temporarily becomes a surrogate father. That raw, empathetic connection is the absolute bedrock of combat morale. Have you ever realized that the most powerful weapon system on Earth is entirely fueled by the fragile emotional resilience of American teenagers? But the ultimate psychological anchor, the brief sanctuary where the 06 reconnects with their own soul, exists high above the chaos on the 8-level observation deck, Vulture's Row. During the violent crescendo of twilight flight operations, the captain occasionally stands alone in the freezing ocean wind. They are no longer analyzing complex geopolitical strike matrices. They are simply watching. They watch the blinding afterburners of an F-35C Lightning II violently tear the night sky apart, feeling the immense bone-rattling acoustic shockwave vibrate through their boots. They remember their own brutal combat sorties over hostile airspace decades ago. They intimately know the exact terror gripping the young pilot, currently wrestling the complex flight controls in the pitch black. The captain silently watches the 40,000-pound strike fighter successfully catch the critical number 3 wire and violently slam to a safe stop. In the dark, a silent tear of pure pride mixes with the freezing salt spray. They built this lethal, flawless operational ballet. They are directly keeping these elite young warriors alive. However, every single deployment inevitably reaches its terminal end. The emotional climax of this 3-decade career does not occur in a fiery combat engagement. It occurs on a quiet, sunlit flight deck during the formal change of command ceremony. For 30 grueling months, this 06 has been the undisputed god of a floating nuclear-powered city. They have mathematically traded their physical health, their family milestones, and their psychological peace for the absolute operational supremacy of the massive vessel. Now standing rigidly in their immaculate dress, white uniform, they face their designated relief. They formally read their final unyielding orders to the assembled crew. I am ready to be relieved. With those 6 devastatingly simple words, the absolute power is instantly permanently severed. The heavy mantle of command is violently stripped away. They slowly walk down the steep starboard brow, saluting the national ensign one final time. The massive warship, a living, breathing entity of forged steel and nuclear fire that they gave their absolute soul to, no longer belongs to them. The United States Navy ruthlessly marches forward because no singular human is ever greater than the eternal institution. It is a profound, agonizing heartbreak that only exactly 11 people on the entire planet can truly comprehend. But as they walk away, they leave behind an untouchable, eternal legacy of ironclad leadership, flawless tactical execution, and human survival. This is the absolute pinnacle of human responsibility. It is a brutal, unforgiving life stripped of luxury, defined entirely by relentless sacrifice, terrifying operational velocity, and an unyielding devotion to the American sailor. If this deep, unfiltered tactical dive fundamentally changed your perspective on true elite leadership, you absolutely must hit the like button and subscribe right now. We do not just skim the surface of military history. We violently breach the heavily armored hull to expose the raw classified human truths operating inside. Do not miss the next critical briefing. Subscribe right now. Stay ready.